Well, everybody loves to talk about abolishing the IRS, but you still need some organization that's collecting the income for the country. Call it what you may, but it's still going to be that organization. Internal Revenue Service is well structured to handle that. We have a very, very sophisticated taxation regime on income.
Bureaucrats are being fired. They're gone.
Now, let's talk a little history here. Some people talk about the recent bills been proposed to abolish income taxation and replace it with a consumption tax. A consumption tax is what they have over in Europe. It's called a VAT tax, a value-added tax, which is basically a glorified sales tax. Now, is that really the best way to go? It's certainly different. Will it bring in enough money? Good question to be asked. The IRS hasn't always taxed income. The US government made most of its money off what they called excise taxes and charges for services and fees. However, this didn't bring in enough money, especially during times when the country needed a lot of money, such as during the Civil War, and then later, right before World War I began, the government realized they needed a lot more money and that excise tax was not an adequate way of taxation. And it was felt that a progressive income tax was the most fair way to tax the people for the services that the government was providing, so that the lower income people were paying a lesser percentage than the higher income people. And for the most part, that relationship remains true. Now, a consumption tax, is that a fair alternative? And in my opinion, it is not. A consumption tax is not fair because poor people have to spend just as much money on rent and food and automotive as many middle income people. And higher income people, their consumption aspects are they're higher, but not significantly higher than middle income people. They have, however, lots of savings, lots of investments, things that don't generate a consumption income. So a consumption tax would shift the taxation burden significantly to the lower income people. Now, know this, that in the US, that roughly 45, and it varies year to year, but roughly 45 to 47% of taxpayers pay no income tax. How is that? Well, they might be charged income tax on their wages, but then they get it back in the form of child credits, income tax credits, stimulus checks, so that the net result being that this 45 to 47% of people are either getting money back from taxes or paying no taxes at all. Well, if you shift that to the point where they're paying consumption, then they will be paying taxes without credits to give it back. So I think a shift to a consumption tax in abolishing, if you will, the IRS that way, it's not really going to be fair to the people, and it's just going to be disruptive and will provide an unsteady income to the US government.